losing your capacity for typical expressions of communication is an unconventional path to eventually finding your voice. I was born with a rare craniofacial condition called arteriovenous malformation. It's a long word that means my arteries and my veins were connected incorrectly. Too much blood rushes through way too quickly, destroying everything in its path. Over time, my face began to morph until I was unrecognizable to others and even to myself. The avenues of verbal and nonverbal communication available to someone with a normal face were stripped from me, body part by body part. Sections of my tongue, my teeth, my tissues, my lips, my chin, my jawbone, gone. Eventually, the right side of my face would be paralyzed forever. I have had nearly 50 surgeries in 36 years to control my condition and construct this face. Those of us whose faces have been disfigured, we cannot take for granted the power of the face for a human being. We breathe and speak. We see, hear, taste, and smile, all through our faces. Few of you will understand the implications of this firsthand. What it's like to spend years learning how to pronounce words again. Learning new ways to drink with lips that can no longer clasp onto the outside of a cup. Or learning new ways to eat, like smashing a caramel apple sucker with a hammer, just for a chance to enjoy the sweet bits and pieces. We do get creative. The face is the center of our capacity to communicate. While the focus is often on verbal messages, studies show that anywhere from half to a whopping 93% of all of our communication is actually non-verbal. In fact, the human face with its 43 muscles can make up to 10,000 expressions. And while many of our facial expressions vary depending on culture, Paul Ekman, a pioneer in the study of emotion, found evidence for 7 facial expressions that are now considered universal: happiness and sadness, anger, contempt, disgust, fear, and surprise. For example, you may see someone's eyes widen and their eyebrows raised, and they put their hand over their chest, and you could interpret that they are surprised. Or you may see someone smile and you would interpret that they are happy. Yes, happy. The face is a critical component of what it means to be human. And the face is as dynamic as we are. Neuroscience researcher Eliza Gelino and her colleagues explained that the human face is never static. It's always acting and reacting based on internal and external stimuli. And our facial movements don't happen in isolation. They're coordinated with the muscles throughout our entire body, all working together to create what we perceive as an emotional experience. The face can both support and hinder our capacity for human connection. And people with severe disfigurement have faces that are often misread. Psychology researcher Francisca Hartung and her colleagues discovered there is a disfigured is bad stereotype. People with facial differences are often perceived as being untrustworthy, unintelligent, and unhappy. The media also play a role. As this cultural force of mass communication, they take these misperceptions of us and they broadcast them to the rest of the world. Namely, that scarred faces are evil and scary. Now, if the story ended right here, the narrative would simply be that beyond our nameless facial features, it's the stereotypes and the social stigmas that render us incapable of communicating and connecting. The end. Thankfully, Grandma, I have learned that navigating communication barriers was the key to me unlocking my voice. Looking back, honing two qualities made all the difference: grit and grace.
Amen.
Grit is the active endurance we use to face our circumstances head on. And grace is undeserved favor. In my case, blessings that would come through a devastating setback. Routine procedure. My 20-second surgery was supposed to be a routine procedure. When I woke up, I had been moved from the recovery unit to a private room. The lights were dimmed and the curtains were closed, but I could just make out my mother. She was standing up, but her knees were close to buckling in shock. As I stared into her eyes, every ounce of what she was feeling showed on her face. Nonverbal communication in action. The look was a mixture of confusion and fear, of utter disbelief and defeat. The look said, "Lord, how could this happen to my child?" I knew something was wrong. Nana tilted her head and she began to move her hand in a circular motion along her right cheek. All of this got infected, Jay. It had to be removed. It's gone. It took all the grit I had not to flood the room with my tears. Later, my doctor would inform my family that my facial nerve, the major nerve sending signals that control facial movement and expression, had been cut. I would never be able to fully smile again. In an instant, my most versatile communication tool, my face, had been destroyed. After years of trying to look normal, having surgery after surgery after surgery, raving a world of silent stares and awkward encounters, of laughing teenagers in malls and pointing children in restaurants, years of overhearing, "What's wrong with her face?" I would slowly die to the desire for a face that communicates normally, a divine act of grace. Yes, grace. I would start to wear my hair pulled back, which somehow made me hold my head higher. I would dare to show off the scars that now cover my body. I would take a stage like this one, using this face, as imperfect as it is, to connect with all of you. Those of us with facial differences, we have opportunities for communication and connection etched into the very crevices of our faces. They are opportunities for you to draw closer rather than push away. You can train yourself to look at others, no matter what appearances may be communicating or miscommunicating, and you can choose to see them as a soul with a story. So the next time you see someone who looks different, instead of prioritizing your own curiosity, like asking them, what happened? Start by asking their name. Remembering that those of us with facial differences are yearning for genuine connection. We are striving to live with grit and grace through every experience that we face.